He skipped his wife's father's funeral to sleep with another woman. Alana Powell stood beside her father's coffin, her black dress still her hands numb from gripping grief that had nowhere to fall. The church was full. The front row was not. Her husband's seat remained empty, no apology, no flowers, just a single message. Something urgent came up. While mourners whispered prayers, Alana held her son close and felt the weight of every eye asking the same question. Then her phone vibrated. A missed call, an unknown number. At the exact moment, her fingers brushed the ring her father once wore engraved with a detail she had never questioned. She didn't know it yet, but that call would turn betrayal into evident silence, into power, and a funeral into the first step toward justice. Before we enter the story, tell us where you're watching from and your local time in the comments. If stories of quiet strength, delayed justice, and powerful comebacks speak to you, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss what comes next. The chapel doors closed with a muted thud, sealing in the scent of lilies and old wood. Alana Powell stayed where she was, one hand resting on the polished edge of her father's coffin, the other wrapped around her son's small shoulders. Leo leaned into her hip, his suit jacket a size too big, his fingers worrying the cuff as if it might unravel in his hands. The front row remained incomplete. People noticed. They always did. Alana felt their glances like light taps on glass, curious, careful, pitying. She didn't meet them. She kept her gaze steady on the simple brass plaque bearing her father's name, Robert Powell. No titles, no embellishments. Just a man who had worked, loved, and kept his promises. Marcus had promised he'd be here. Evelyn Powell sat rigidly on Alana's other side, her face carved into something fragile and sharp at the same time. She hadn't cried yet. Not a tear. Grief, Alana knew, sometimes hardened before it broke. The minister began the final prayer. Alana listened without hearing her mind tracking time in a way that felt almost mechanical. If Marcus were late, he would text again. If he were truly stuck, he would call. He knew what this day meant. He knew what her father had been to them, had been to him. Nothing came. When the prayer ended, mourners stood one by one, filing past the coffin. Alana accepted murmured condolences, nodding, thanking people by instinct. Her mouth moved automatically. Her body did what it had to do. Inside, everything stayed eerily still. A distant cousin whispered, "Where's your husband, sweetheart?" as if the question itself might shatter Alana if spoken too loudly. Held up, Alana said, calm, neutral, protective. She felt Evelyn stiffen beside her, but didn't look. Leo tilted his head up. "Mom," he whispered, barely audible, over the shuffling feet. "Is Dad coming?" Alana crouched, slightly lowering herself to his eye level. She smoothed his hair slow and deliberate. "He's busy today," she said. "But Grandpa knows we're here." Leo nodded, trusting in a way that cut deeper than any accusation. He turned back to the coffin and placed the folded drawing he'd made inside a stick-figure family holding hands beneath a crooked sun. Alana swallowed. Once, then again. When the last guest passed through, the funeral director approached quietly. "Mrs. Powell," he said, voice gentle. "Whenever you're ready." Alana straightened. This was the part she could control. She guided Evelyn toward the exit, her arm firm and steady. Outside, the winter air was sharp bright, with a cruel kind of clarity. Cars waited in neat rows. Life undisturbed went on. The director cleared his throat. "There's just one thing before we proceed," he said, lowering his voice. "We'll need to settle the remaining balance." Alana nodded. She reached into her purse, fingers closing around her wallet. She slid her credit card across the small podium without thinking. This, too, was routine. The director returned moments later, his expression changed, subtle, professional, unmistakable. "I'm sorry," he said. "It seems the card was declined." The word landed with a dull finality. Alana blinked once. "That's not possible," she said, keeping her tone even. "Try again." He did. The machine chirped, then went silent. Declined. Heat rose behind Alana's eyes, not from embarrassment, but from something colder, calculated. She offered another card. Same result. Around them, a few lingering guests slowed their curiosity, poorly disguised. Evelyn looked from Alana to the director, confusion creasing her face. "It must be a mistake," Evelyn said sharply. "I'm sure it is," Alana replied, already reaching for her phone. She didn't apologize. She didn't explain. She stepped aside, putting space between the moment and the people watching it. She dialed Marcus. Straight to voicemail. She didn't leave a message. Alana paid the deposit in cash money she'd withdrawn days earlier, just in case. The director thanked her relief evident and moved away to continue preparations. The murmurs faded. The moment passed. But something had shifted. On the drive to the cemetery, Alana replayed the decline in her mind, fitting it against the past few months like a missing piece. Marcus had suggested consolidating accounts. He'd insisted on managing bills to make things easier. He'd smiled when she hesitated and kissed her forehead, told her she'd been through enough. She hadn't argued. The burial was brief. Earth against wood. A finality that pressed against Alana's chest until breathing felt like work. When it was done, she stayed behind, watching the others leave. Evelyn rested a hand on the headstone, whispering something Alana didn't interrupt. Leo tugged at her sleeve. "Can we go home now?" "Yes," Alana said. "We can." That evening, the house felt wrong. Too quiet, too clean. Marcus's coat was missing from its hook. His shoes weren't by the door. On the kitchen counter, Alana found her phone where she'd left it, screen dark, untouched. She checked her banking app. The primary account showed restrictions. Not closed, just limited. A neat little note read, "Temporary security hold." Alana stared at the words until they stopped looking real. She scrolled through recent transactions. Hotels, restaurants, purchases she didn't recognize. All within the last 72 hours. All charged without her consent. She sat down slowly at the kitchen table, the chair scraping softly against the floor. This wasn't an accident. This was control. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. Alana watched it ring, her heartbeat steady, her breathing measured. She didn't rush. She didn't panic. She answered on the last vibration. "Hello," she said. "Alana Powell," a man asked. "Yes. This is Detective Aaron Blake. I apologize for the timing, but I need to confirm your identity before we proceed." Her gaze drifted to the hallway, to the framed photo of her father holding Leo on his shoulders. "You've confirmed it," she said. "What is this about?" There was a pause on the line. "Respectful. Intentional. Your husband," Blake said. "Marcus Powell. We've received information that places him at a location he claimed not to be today, with a woman named Vanessa Cole." The room felt suddenly larger, emptier. Alana didn't ask why the police knew that. She didn't ask how. She asked the only question that mattered. "Do you have proof?" she said. Another pause. This one heavier. "Yes," Blake replied. Alana closed her eyes, not in pain but in focus. She thought of the declined card, the empty seat, the ring on her father's finger engraved with a detail she had never needed to understand until now. "Thank you for calling," she said. "What happens next?" "That depends," Blake answered carefully, "on whether you're willing to listen." Alana looked around her silent kitchen at the life she'd held together without raising her voice. "I am," she said, "but I won't make noise." On the other end of the line, Blake exhaled softly. "That may be the smartest thing you do." Alana ended the call and set the phone down. For the first time since the morning, she allowed herself to feel something sharp and clear. Not anger, resolve. Alana didn't sleep that night. She lay on her back staring at the ceiling as the house settled around her, listening to the faint creaks and pops that came with winter air and old wood. Leo slept in the next room, his soft breathing steady, unaware of the quiet recalibration happening inside his mother. By morning, Alana had already made a decision. She would not confront Marcus, not yet. At 6:42 a.m., her phone buzzed again. This time the number was saved. Detective Aaron Blake. She answered before the second ring. "I'm up," she said. "I figured," Blake replied. His voice was even professional, but there was something else under it, caution. "I won't keep you long. I prefer clarity over brevity. Alana said, rising from bed. She wrapped herself in a robe and walked to the kitchen where yesterday's grief still seemed to cling to the air. Fair enough, Blake said. Here's what we know. Your husband checked into the Fairmont on Harbor Street yesterday afternoon. He didn't use his corporate card. He used a private account. Alana poured herself coffee black and Vanessa Cole. She arrived 30 minutes later. Different car, same floor. Alana didn't react. She waited. This isn't just about an affair, Blake continued. Marcus Powell is connected to an ongoing inquiry involving financial misconduct. We've been tracking a shell company, small, recently formed, clean on the surface. Your husband's name isn't on it, but his signature is. Alana's grip tightened around the mug. Forged, that's what we're determining, Blake said. But the timing of yesterday's meeting matters. We believe documents were exchanged. Silence stretched between them. Why tell me this? Alana asked finally. You could have waited, because Blake said carefully, we believe your husband may be preparing to shield assets, and because your father's name appeared in an unrelated file we reopened last night. The words struck deeper than anything else he'd said. My father is dead, Alana said quietly. I know, Blake replied. And I'm sorry for your loss, but Robert Powell filed a report years ago never pursued, never closed. It mentioned irregularities at a firm that later became the company where Marcus now works. Alana closed her eyes. Her father had never been a man who spoke loudly. He noticed things. He wrote them down. He prepared. What do you need from me? She asked. For now, Blake said. Nothing. I need you to stay exactly where you are. Act normal. Don't tip him off. A slow, measured inhale. That's easy, Alana said. I've been doing that for months. When the call ended, she stood still for a long moment, letting the implications settle. Her father hadn't just left memories behind. He'd left a map. Marcus came home at 9:17 a.m. Alana heard his car in the driveway before he entered the familiar rhythm of keys and footsteps echoing through the hall. He smelled faintly of cologne and something sharper, hotel soap maybe. His eyes were rimmed with red, his expression carefully assembled into something resembling remorse. There you are, he said softly. I didn't see you last night. You didn't come home, Alana replied. Marcus exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I know. I'm sorry. Everything just spiraled. She watched him closely now, not with suspicion, but with study. His body language was practiced, the slump of his shoulders, the way he avoided saying funeral. I should have been there, he continued. I hate myself for missing it. Alana nodded once. You should have. The simplicity of her agreement caught him off guard. He blinked. My father was buried yesterday, she said evenly. You weren't there. Marcus stepped forward, reaching for her hand. She let him take it. I'll make it right, he said. Whatever you need. Alana looked down at their joined hands. I need transparency, she said. Why was my card declined yesterday? His fingers stiffened just for a fraction of a second. Declined, he repeated. That doesn't make sense. I assume the same, Alana said. So I checked the account. There's a hold. Marcus frowned, the expression sliding into place. It's temporary. I noticed some unusual activity and froze it to be safe. You didn't tell me. I didn't want to stress you, he said quickly. You've been through enough. There it was. The justification. The reframing. Alana nodded again. That makes sense. Relief flashed across his face. He squeezed her hand. I'll fix it today. Please do, she said. He leaned in, pressing a kiss to her forehead, lingering just long enough to look convincing. Then he moved toward the bedroom, already pulling his phone from his pocket. Alana watched him go, her face calm, her mind cataloging everything. That afternoon, she drove to her parents' house alone. Evelyn Powell sat at the kitchen table, sorting through sympathy cards with mechanical precision. She looked up as Alana entered, eyes searching. He didn't come, Evelyn said. It wasn't a question. No, Alana replied, taking the seat across from her. He didn't. Evelyn's lips pressed into a thin line. Your father knew, she said suddenly. Alana stilled. Knew what? That something was off, Evelyn said. With Marcus. He never said it directly, but he asked questions. About money, about timing. Alana felt the weight of it settle in her chest. Did he ever write anything down? Evelyn hesitated, then stood and crossed the room. She opened a drawer Alana had never seen used before and pulled out a slim envelope worn at the edges. He told me to give this to you if things went wrong. Inside were photocopies, notes in her father's handwriting, dates, names. One name appeared more than once. Marcus Powell. Alana closed the envelope carefully. Thank you, she said. Evelyn reached across the table, covering Alana's hand with hers. Be careful, she whispered. I will, Alana said. And for the first time, she meant something different than be patient. That evening, Marcus didn't come home for dinner. Instead, he sent a message. Running late, don't wait up. Alana stared at the screen, then set the phone face down. She opened her laptop and began organizing files, bank statements, screenshots, notes from her father. Each document slid into place with quiet precision. At 10:03 p.m., her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She answered. Alana, Detective Blake said, I need you to know this before tomorrow. Your husband is moving faster than we anticipated. How? She asked. He's attempting to transfer partial ownership of the shell company. If it goes through, recovery gets harder. Alana closed her laptop. Then it won't go through. Blake paused. Do you have something I have leverage? She said. And I have timestamps. A beat. Then I'll see you tomorrow morning, Blake said. Bring everything. When the call ended, Alana stood and walked to Leo's room. She watched him sleep for a long moment, memorizing the rise and fall of his chest. This ends, she whispered, quietly. Down the hall, Marcus's side of the bed remained untouched. And for the first time, Alana understood the truth with absolute clarity. The worst thing Marcus had done wasn't skipping a funeral. It was underestimating the woman who had stood through it without breaking. Morning arrived without ceremony. No apology text, no follow-up call. Marcus returned just before sunrise, slipping into the house, like a guest who believed he still belonged. Alana heard him from the bedroom, shoes placed neatly by the door, a glass filled at the sink, the faint hum of the refrigerator. He moved carefully, as if silence itself could erase absence. Alana didn't pretend to sleep. When Marcus entered the bedroom, she felt the mattress dip slightly. He lay on his back, hands folded on his chest, staring at the ceiling. They shared the same space, without touching, without speaking. It was a practice distance now. By the time Leo woke, Marcus was already gone again. Alana made breakfast as usual. Toast, eggs, orange juice poured carefully so it wouldn't spill. Leo ate quietly, glancing at the empty chair across from him. Dad at work, he asked. Yes, Alana said. He has meetings. Leo nodded, accepting the explanation with the grace only children had. Alana watched him gather his backpack tie. His shoes moved through routine like a small island of certainty in a shifting sea. After dropping him at school, Alana drove straight to the bank. The building was modern and bright, all glass and brushed steel. She waited, her turn posture straight, expression neutral. When the teller pulled up her account, the smile on the woman's face faded. I see the restriction, the teller said. It was placed yesterday afternoon. By whom? Alana asked. The teller hesitated, then glanced at the screen. By the primary account holder. Alana nodded once. Thank you. She didn't argue. She didn't escalate. She left the bank with the same calm she'd entered, with her mind already rearranging the information. The restriction hadn't been for security. It had been for leverage. At home, she found a note on the counter in Marcus's handwriting. We should talk tonight. About everything. No time, no apology. Just control disguised as concern. Alana folded the note and placed it in her purse. At noon, she met Rachel Kim in a quiet office building overlooking the river. Rachel didn't waste time on pleasantries. She reviewed the documents Alana had brought, flipping pages with efficient precision. This confirms intent, Rachel said, tapping a bank statement. He froze shared funds while continuing personal expenditures. That's coercive behavior. Can he do that legally? Alana asked. He can try, Rachel replied. But it doesn't hold if challenged, especially not with this timeline. Alana slid her father's envelope across the desk. Rachel opened it slowly, her expression sharpening as she read. Your father was careful, Rachel said. These notes suggest he suspected misrepresentation at Marcus's firm years ago. He didn't accuse, he documented. Alana felt something tighten in her chest, not grief this time, but respect. He always said noise makes people sloppy. Rachel looked up. He was right. They discussed next steps. Asset tracing, protective filings. Rachel outlined a plan that relied on patience and precision, not confrontation. Let him think he's ahead, Rachel said. People make mistakes when they believe they've already won. Alana left the meeting with a folder tucked under her arm and a sense of direction settling into place. That afternoon, she received the first message from Vanessa Cole. I didn't mean for things to get messy, but you should know the truth. Alana read it once. Then again, she didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another message arrived. Marcus cares about you, but people grow apart. Alana set the phone down. She didn't block the number. She didn't engage. She saved the messages and moved on. Marcus came home early that evening. He looked composed, showered, changed, rehearsed. He set his briefcase down and leaned against the counter, arms crossed. We need to talk, he said. Alana nodded. Yes, we do. They sat at the table where she'd organized files the night before. She cleared them away, leaving the surface bare. I froze the account to protect us, Marcus began. There's been irregular activity at work. I didn't want anything tied to you. You froze it after my father's funeral, Alana said. Marcus's jaw tightened. Timing wasn't ideal. No, she agreed. It wasn't. He leaned forward. I'm under pressure, Alana. You know how it is. Things get complicated. Complicated enough to miss a burial, she asked. He flinched. That was different. How Marcus exhaled sharply. I can't explain everything right now. Alana met his gaze. Then don't. The room went still. I trust you, she continued. But trust requires access. I need my funds restored. I'll take care of it, Marcus said quickly. Tomorrow. Alana nodded. Tomorrow. Later that night, after Marcus fell asleep, Alana checked her phone. A voicemail. Unknown number. She stepped into the hallway and listened. Mrs. Powell, Detective Aaron Blake, said, We confirmed the document transfer. It occurred at 4:12 p.m. yesterday. Witnessed. Logged. Your husband underestimated our access. Alana closed her eyes, steadying herself against the wall. What do you need from me? For now, nothing, Blake replied. But be aware Vanessa Cole may attempt contact. If she does document everything. She already has, Alana said. A pause. Then good, Blake said. That helps. Alana ended the call and stood there for a long moment, listening to the house breathe. The next day brought another escalation. At Leo's school pickup, Alana saw Vanessa for the first time. She stood near the entrance, dressed impeccably, sunglasses perched just low enough to make eye contact intentional. She smiled when she saw Alana, slow and deliberate. Alana, Vanessa said, stepping forward. I wanted to introduce myself properly. Alana didn't stop walking. I'm not interested. Vanessa fell into step beside her. I think you should be. Marcus and I didn't plan for this to happen during such a sensitive time. Alana paused and turned. Her expression was calm, unreadable. You planned something, she said. That's enough. Vanessa's smile faltered. I'm trying to be respectful. Then respect this boundary, Alana replied. Do not approach me or my child again. Vanessa's eyes flicked toward Leo, who waited a few steps ahead. Something calculating passed over her face. Of course, she said. I wouldn't want to upset him. Alana memorized the tone, the implication. That night, Marcus received a call in the living room. He stepped outside to answer it, a voice low. Alana watched from the kitchen, her reflection faint in the window. When he returned, his confidence had shifted, tightened. need to make some decisions, he said. Alana dried her hands. We do. He hesitated. I've been advised to suggest mediation, a clean separation. Alana looked at him steadily. You've already separated, she said. You just forgot to tell me. Marcus bristled. That's not fair. No, she agreed. It's accurate. He stared at her, searching for the reaction he expected: anger, fear, bargaining. He found none. What do you want? He asked. Alana considered the question. Time, she said, and transparency. He scoffed softly. You're not in a position to make demands. She met his eyes. You froze my account, she said. You skipped my father's funeral. You underestimated my patience. That puts me exactly where I need to be. Marcus said nothing. That night, Alana returned to the envelope from her father. She reread the notes, tracing his careful handwriting. At the bottom of the final page, a line stood out, one she'd overlooked before. If they rush you, it's because they're afraid of what you'll find. Alana folded the paper and placed it back inside. Tomorrow would bring filings, hearings, consequences. But tonight, she slept. Not because things were resolved, but because she finally understood the terrain. And she was no longer walking it blindly. Alana met Rachel Kim again the next morning, this time without hesitation or nerves. The fear that had once tightened her chest before difficult conversations was gone. In its place was a steady awareness of facts, of timing, of how quickly power shifted when truth was organized. Rachel's office overlooked the river-gray water moving in slow, relentless lines. She closed the door, set her phone face down, and motioned for Alana to sit. You're doing exactly what we need, Rachel said, not reacting. Alana handed over her phone. Vanessa contacted me, twice. Then she showed up at Leo's school. Rachel's expression sharpened. That crosses a line. She was careful, Alana replied. No threats, just implication. That's still leverage, Rachel said, and leverage is traceable. They spent the next hour building a timeline. Rachel pinned dates to events messages to financial movements. Each piece clicked into place with unnerving clarity. The frozen account, the hotel charges, the shell company transfers, the attempt at mediation framed as generosity. He's accelerating, Rachel said, which means he thinks he's running out of time. Why now? Alana asked. Because your father's records exist, Rachel said, and because Detective Blake is closer than Marcus realizes. Alana leaned back, absorbing that. What do we file first? Protection, Rachel replied. Not divorce, not yet. We secure access, we establish pattern. We document coercion. She slid a document across the desk. This is a motion to restore financial access and prohibit unilateral freezes. It's quiet, procedural. It doesn't accuse. Alana scanned it, and he won't see it coming. Rachel smiled faintly. He'll think it's housekeeping. That afternoon, Marcus texted, Can we keep this civil for Leo? Alana stared at the message. The word civil sat heavily on the screen, stripped of sincerity. She replied with 6 words. I agree. Transparency helps everyone. Marcus didn't respond. By evening, the account restrictions were lifted partially, enough to appear cooperative. Not enough to relinquish control, calculated, Rachel said over the phone. He's testing you. I won't blink, Alana replied. That night, Vanessa called. Alana let it ring twice before answering. I think we should talk, Vanessa said, her voice smooth, rehearsed. Woman to woman. I don't share space with people who disrespect boundaries, Alana replied calmly. Vanessa laughed softly. You're stronger than Marcus said. Alana made a mental note. He talks about me all the time, Vanessa said. He says you're emotional, that you cling to routine because you're afraid of change. Alana said nothing. I'm not your enemy, Vanessa continued. I'm just honest about what I want. That makes you predictable, Alana said. The line went quiet. I'm going to be part of Marcus's life, Vanessa said finally. You can resist, or you can move on gracefully. Alana exhaled once. Do not contact me again. She ended the call and saved the recording. Marcus came home late. He moved through the house with restless energy, opening drawers, checking his phone, pacing. When he finally spoke, it was with forced casualness. "Rachel Kim called my office," he said. Alana looked up from the table. "She's my attorney. I thought we agreed not to escalate." Marcus replied. "We agreed on transparency," Alana said. "This is part of that," Marcus clenched his jaw. "She's digging. She's documenting," Alana corrected. "You don't need a lawyer," he said. "We can work this out ourselves." Alana met his gaze. "You froze my access to shared funds the day my father was buried." Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. That decision, Alana continued, removed the option of informal resolution. Silence settled between them. "You're overreacting," Marcus said finally. "You've been under stress." Alana nodded. "So have you." He stared at her, unsettled. She wasn't angry. She wasn't pleading. She wasn't even accusing. She was precise. Later that night, Alana received an email from Daniel Wright. "I don't know how much you know, but I think you should see this." Attached were internal memos, sanitized, indirect, but unmistakable. References to expedited transfers. Pressure from above. A quiet suggestion that one signature could solve several problems. Marcus's signature. Alana forwarded everything to Rachel without comment. Rachel replied minutes later. "This changes the scope. Stay steady." The next day, Detective Blake called. "We confirmed the LLC's secondary owner," he said. "It's Vanessa Cole." Alana closed her eyes briefly. "So the affair was also a transaction?" "Yes," Blake said. "And we have reason to believe your husband intended to shift liability." "To me," Alana said. "To anyone he could," Blake replied. "But you were the easiest shield." Alana felt no shock, only a quiet recalibration. That afternoon, she picked Leo up from school early and took him to the park. They sat on a bench while he traced shapes in the dirt with a stick. "Mom," he said suddenly, "are you sad?" Alana considered the question. "I'm careful," she said. "Sometimes that looks like sadness." Leo nodded, satisfied. "I like when you're careful." She smiled, pressing a kiss to his hair. That evening, Marcus announced he'd scheduled mediation. "It's the fastest way forward," he said. "Less damage?" "Damage to whom?" Alana asked. "To everyone," he replied. Alana glanced at the calendar. "I'll attend," she said, "with counsel." Marcus stiffened. "That's not necessary." "It is for me," Alana said. He studied her, searching again for weakness. He found only resolve. After he left the room, Alana opened her father's envelope one last time. At the bottom, tucked beneath the notes, was a second piece of paper she hadn't noticed before. A list of names. Former colleagues, compliance officers. One was underlined twice. Daniel Wright. Alana closed the envelope and placed it in her bag. Her father hadn't predicted the details, but he had understood the pattern. That night, as Alana prepared for bed, her phone buzzed with one final message from Marcus. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." She typed her response slowly. Truth usually feels hard to those who avoid it. She turned off the phone. Tomorrow would bring mediation papers and measured smiles. But the real negotiation had already ended. Marcus just didn't know it yet. Marcus changed tactics the moment he realized Alana would not bend. The shift was subtle at first. He became softer in public, quieter at home, careful with his words. He started making breakfast for Leo, packing lunches, attending school events he had ignored for months. To anyone watching from the outside, he looked like a man trying to repair his marriage after a tragedy. At home, the control tightened. "You've been forgetting things lately," Marcus said one morning as Alana searched for her keys. "Probably stress." "I know where they are," Alana replied, retrieving them from her bag. He smiled. "Of course you do. I just worry." Worry had become his favorite word. It sounded harmless, reasonable, almost loving. That afternoon, Alana received a notification from her bank. A request had been submitted to consolidate accounts for efficiency. Marcus's signature was attached. She forwarded it to Rachel without comment. Rachel called within minutes. "He's testing boundaries again," she said. We'll deny it and log the attempt. Do I respond to him? Alana asked. No, Rachel replied. Silence is pressure when it's documented. Vanessa escalated next. She stopped texting and moved to social proximity, appearing at places Alana frequented, always by coincidence. The grocery store, the pharmacy, once the coffee shop near Leo's school. She never approached directly. She let herself be seen. One afternoon, Alana felt it before she saw it, the awareness of being watched. She looked up from the produce aisle to find Vanessa leaning against a display, scrolling, her phone lips curved in an unknowing half-smile. Alana paid and left without acknowledgement. Minutes later, her phone buzzed. You don't have to pretend I'm invisible, Vanessa wrote. I'm not going anywhere. Alana saved the message and put her phone away. That night, Marcus brought out paperwork. I talked to someone, he said, sliding a thin stack across the table. Just to prepare, in case things don't work out. Alana glanced at the cover page. Financial disclosures, temporary custody proposals. This is premature, she said calmly. It's practical, Marcus replied. Given everything you've been through, stability matters. For Leo, Alana said. For you, Marcus corrected. I don't want you overwhelmed. Alana looked up at him. Then don't overwhelm me. He leaned back, frustrated. You're being difficult. No, she said. I'm being precise. He tapped the papers. Sign these. They don't finalize anything. They just give me temporary authority if something happens. Something like what Alana asked. He hesitated. A breakdown. The word hung in the air. Alana didn't react. She picked up the documents, scanned them carefully, then set them down untouched. I'll review these with counsel, she said. Marcus stood abruptly. Rachel Kim again. Yes. His voice sharpened. She's turning you against me. Alana met his eyes. Your actions did that. He stormed out of the room, the door slamming hard enough to rattle the walls. That night, Alana received a call from Detective Aaron Blake. We're seeing movement, he said. Your husband is pressuring internal teams to finalize transfers before mediation, Vanessa Alana asked. She's coordinating logistics, Blake confirmed. She believes speed will protect her. It won't, Alana said. Blake paused. You sound certain. I am. The next day, Marcus didn't come home at all. Instead, Alana received a call from Leo's school. Mrs. Powell, the administrator, said carefully, your husband authorized a change to Leo's pickup permissions. Alana felt a flash of heat brief contained. Authorized how he added an alternate contact. Vanessa Cole. The name landed like a slap. I did not consent to that, Alana said. Remove it immediately. We'll need written confirmation, the administrator replied. From both parents. You'll have it, Alana said. Today. She ended the call and dialed Rachel. This is escalation, Rachel said. And it works against him. What if he tries to move, Leo, Alana asked. He won't, Rachel replied. That would cross into criminal territory, and he knows it. Alana exhaled slowly. I want a temporary order. We'll file by end of day, Rachel said. Emergency basis. That afternoon, Alana arrived early to pick Leo up. She stood by the gate posture, relaxed eyes alert. When Leo ran toward her, she crouched and hugged him tightly. Dad said you might be late today, Leo said. Alana stiffened slightly. Did he say anything else? Leo shook his head. Just that things were changing. Alana kissed his temple. Some things, she said gently, don't get to change. That evening, Marcus returned angry this time. You went behind my back, he said, pacing the living room. You filed paperwork without telling me. I protected my son, Alana replied. You're making me look unstable, Marcus snapped. You added your mistress to his school file, Alana said evenly. You did that yourself. Marcus stopped pacing. You don't get to call her that. Alana's voice remained calm. I get to call facts by their names. His hands curled into fists. You're trying to ruin me. No, she said. I'm letting you reveal yourself. Silence stretched. Marcus laughed once, sharp and humorless. You think you're winning? I'm not competing, Alana replied. I'm documenting. He stared at her, something like fear flickering behind his eyes. That night, Vanessa sent another message. Marcus is under a lot of pressure. You could make this easier. Alana typed a single reply. Do not contact me again. Any further communication will be logged. Vanessa didn't respond. The next morning, Rachel called with confirmation. Temporary financial access restored in full, she said, and a provisional custody order. Marcus is legally blocked from making unilateral changes. Alana closed her eyes, relief settling in layers. Thank you. This is just the beginning, Rachel added. He's going to push back harder. I know, Alana said. So will I. That afternoon, Daniel Wright emailed again. He's panicking, the message read. He thinks someone inside is feeding you information. Alana replied for the first time. Let him think that. She closed her laptop and looked out the window. The sky was clear, bright, indifferent. Marcus had always believed power came from speed, from pressure, from making others feel small and rushed. He had never understood what patience could do when paired with evidence. And he had never met a woman who knew how to wait without surrendering. The first public blow landed where Marcus least expected it. It wasn't dramatic. There were no raised voices, no scenes. That was what unsettled him most. It happened on a Thursday afternoon at Leo's school fundraiser. The gym was bright and crowded, banners taped crookedly to the walls, folding tables lined with bake sale boxes and donation jars. Parents mingled, smiling, pretending normalcy. Marcus arrived late as usual, dressed impeccably, confidence restored by the illusion of control he believed he still held. Vanessa Sives arrived 10 minutes after him. She didn't stand beside Marcus. That would have been too obvious. Instead, she positioned herself near the refreshments visible from almost anywhere in the room. She laughed easily, spoke to other parents, as if she belonged there, as if she had always been part of this world. Alana noticed immediately. She didn't react. She stayed where she was, kneeling beside Leo's project display, asking him questions about the cardboard solar system he'd made. She listened as he explained gravity with earnest seriousness, her full attention on him. Marcus approached slowly, watching her from a distance, gauging her mood. You look composed, he said, stopping beside her. I am, Alana replied, without looking up. He followed her gaze to Leo. This is good for him, Marcus said. Stability? Yes, Alana said. It is. Vanessa chose that moment to walk over. Alana, she said brightly. We keep running into each other. Alana stood, turning fully toward her. Her expression was neutral, her posture relaxed. Please step back, Alana said calmly. You are not authorized to speak to me or my child. The surrounding noise dipped. A few parents nearby went quiet, their curiosity sharpening. Vanessa blinked, surprised by the directness. I'm just being friendly. Friendly would have respected the boundary I set, Alana replied. You were explicitly told not to approach us. Marcus cleared his throat. Alana, you're making this awkward. Alana met his eyes. You made it awkward when you brought her into our child's space. Vanessa's smile tightened. Marcus said. Alana raised a hand, stopping her. I'm not speaking to you. The silence spread. One of the teachers glanced over, concern flickering across her face. This is unnecessary, Marcus said sharply, his composure slipping. You're embarrassing yourself. Alana's voice remained steady. I'm establishing boundaries in public because they weren't respected in private. Vanessa's eyes flicked around the room. She laughed lightly, too lightly. I didn't realize there were rules. There are, Alana said. And this is your only warning. She turned back to Leo, crouching to his level. We're going to get some air, she said gently. As they walked away, whispers followed. Not cruel ones, curious ones. The kind that spread quietly, gathering weight. Marcus stood frozen, watching controls slip through his fingers in a room full of witnesses. That evening, his reaction came swiftly. You humiliated me, he said the moment they were alone. I protected our son, Alana replied. You did that on purpose, he snapped. In front of everyone. Yes, Alana said. Because that's where she chose to approach us. Marcus slammed his hand against the counter. You're turning people against me. No, Alana said calmly. Your choices are. He paced, running his hands through his hair. Vanessa didn't mean any harm. She attempted to insert herself into Leo's life, Alana said. That is harm. You're overreacting, Marcus insisted. Rachel has you paranoid. Alana looked at him steadily. I'm not paranoid. I'm prepared. That night, Rachel called. I heard she said, school fundraiser, yes. Good, Rachel replied. Witnesses matter. Marcus won't see it that way, Alana said. He doesn't need to, Rachel replied. Others already do. The next morning, the second escalation came. An email arrived from Marcus's attorney, new unfamiliar. Proposal for temporary custody adjustment. Alana read it once, then forwarded it to Rachel. They're trying to position you as unstable, Rachel said over the phone. Standard move when control starts slipping. What's the counter, Alana asked. We don't counter emotionally, Rachel replied. We counter factually. By noon, Daniel Wright requested a meeting. They met at a quiet cafe, both choosing seats with clear sight lines. Daniel looked tired, his confidence frayed by weeks of pressure. He's blaming me, Daniel said, lowering his voice. Says someone inside is leaking. Are they? Alana asked. Daniel gave a thin smile. Yes. Alana nodded. Then tell me what he doesn't want documented. Daniel slid his phone across the table. On it were internal messages, urgent, panicked, careless. Marcus pushing deadlines, demanding signatures, referencing clean exits and containment. He's preparing to sacrifice someone, Daniel said. And it won't be Vanessa. Alana returned the phone. Thank you. You're not afraid, Daniel asked. I was, Alana replied. I'm not anymore. That afternoon, Detective Blake confirmed what Alana already suspected. We've secured provisional holds, he said. He can't move assets without triggering review. What about Vanessa? Alana asked. She's exposed, Blake replied. And she knows it. That knowledge arrived at Alana's door that evening. Vanessa stood on the porch, eyes sharp, smile gone. I need to talk, she said, privately. Alana didn't invite her in. She stepped outside and closed the door behind her. You're not welcome here, Alana said. Vanessa exhaled. Marcus is lying to you. Alana tilted her head slightly. I'm aware. He told me you were unstable, Vanessa continued. That you were clinging. I didn't realize that he was using you. Alana finished. Vanessa's jaw tightened. He promised protection. He promised convenience, Alana said. Those are not the same. Vanessa hesitated. I could help you. Alana studied her. You already have, by revealing your role. Vanessa's eyes widened. You're recording this, aren't you? Yes, Alana said calmly. And you should leave. Vanessa stared at her for a long moment, then turned and walked away without another word. Inside, Alana locked the door and leaned against it briefly, not in weakness, but in acknowledgement of the moment. The pressure had shifted. Marcus called an hour later. What did you say to her? He demanded. I told her the truth, Alana replied. You're destroying everything he said. No, Alana said quietly. I'm ending it. He went silent. You underestimated me, she continued. You thought silence meant compliance. He didn't answer. That was your mistake, Alana said. And it's already documented. She ended the call. Later that night, she stood at Leo's doorway, watching him sleep. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that came before resolution. Marcus had tried humiliation pressure and public framing. None of it worked. Because Alana hadn't raised her voice. She had raised the standard. And now with witnesses watching and evidence aligned, the game Marcus had been playing was no longer private. It was exposed. The envelope from her father sat on the desk like it had weight. Alana had carried it with her for days, without opening it again, as if proximity alone might unlock what she needed. Tonight, after Leo fell asleep and the house settled into its shallow breathing, she finally slid it free and laid the contents out in careful rows. Her father had been methodical. There were copies of emails, old printed, annotated in the margins with dates and questions. There were handwritten notes in his steady script, each line concise, deliberate. No accusations, only observations, patterns. Names repeated often enough to matter. Marcus's name appeared twice. But what stopped Alana cold was what came after. A small index card, yellowed at the edges, tucked beneath the papers. On it, her father had written 3 words and a phone number, if I'm wrong. Alana stared at the card, heart slowing. Her father had never assumed certainty. He believed in contingencies. She dialed the number. It rang twice. Robert, a man's voice, answered. Alana swallowed. I'm his daughter. There was a pause, sharp, involuntary. Alana, the man said softly, I wondered when you might call. They met the next morning in a modest office building far from downtown. The man introduced himself as a retired compliance consultant, someone her father had trusted when questions outpaced answers. He never accused your husband, the man said, folding his hands on the table. He noticed anomalies, timing issues, conflicts that didn't rise to the level of action yet. Yet, Alana echoed. He suspected someone was laundering risk through relationships, the man continued. Family members, spouses, anyone whose name wouldn't trigger immediate alarms. Alana felt a familiar click in her mind, the alignment of pieces. Me. You, he confirmed. He was worried you'd be used as a buffer. Did he leave anything else, Alana asked. The man reached into a drawer and produced a thin file. He asked me to hold this unless things escalated. Inside were compliance memos that never reached their destination. Drafts of internal warnings that had been quietly buried. Each document had one thing in common: Marcus's department. Alana thanked him and left with the file secured in her bag. Her steps measured her expression unchanged. This wasn't new pain. This was clarity. At Rachel's office, the reaction was immediate. This expands our leverage, Rachel said, scanning the documents. Your father didn't just anticipate risk. He preserved proof. Can we use it? Alana asked. Not all of it, Rachel replied, but enough to establish intent and knowledge. And timing, Rachel smiled thinly. Perfect. That afternoon, Marcus tried again. He sent flowers, white lilies, an apology note written in a familiar, practiced hand. I know we've both been under pressure. Let's reset. For Leo. Alana placed the note in a drawer with the others. She didn't throw it away. She logged it. Vanessa attempted contact that evening, an email this time longer, more desperate. Marcus told me your father left nothing, that you were exaggerating your position. I didn't realize Alana stopped reading halfway through. She forwarded it to Rachel and archived the rest. Silence, she was learning, did not mean disengagement. It meant direction. The next day, Detective Blake called with an update. We've identified the document Marcus transferred at the hotel, he said. It wasn't financial, it was authorization. For what, Alana asked. For access, Blake replied. He gave Vanessa limited authority to act on behalf of the shell company. Alana closed her eyes briefly. So she wasn't just a distraction. No, Blake said. She was a tool, and tools get discarded, Alana said. Blake didn't argue. That evening, Marcus arrived home earlier than usual. He looked composed again, too composed. He poured himself a drink and leaned against the counter, watching Alana from across the room. You've changed, he said. Alana didn't look up from the papers she was sorting. Grief does that. You're colder, he added. I'm clearer, she replied. He took a sip, eyes narrowing. Rachel Kim is filling your head. She's organizing facts, Alana said. Facts don't need filling. Marcus laughed softly. You think you have some grand advantage? Alana finally met his gaze. I think you're afraid of something you can't control. His smile slipped, just slightly. What did your father leave you? He asked. Alana held his stare. Time. That night, she reviewed everything again, emails, bank logs, messages, witness notes. She labeled each file, cross-referenced dates, aligned statements with transactions. It wasn't obsession. It was preparation. At midnight, a new message arrived from Daniel Wright. He's meeting the board next week. Emergency session. Alana replied immediately. What's the agenda restructuring? Liability containment. Alana closed her laptop and leaned back, the pieces finally fitting into a coherent picture. Marcus wasn't just reacting. He was running out of exits. The next morning, Rachel confirmed it. "They're calling an emergency board meeting," she said. "He's trying to lock narrative before exposure." "And if he succeeds?" Alana asked. "He buys time," Rachel replied. "If he fails, he loses control." Alana finished. Rachel nodded. "We need to decide where to strike." Alana didn't hesitate. "We don't strike at the board. We let the board see him strike himself." Rachel smiled. "That's elegant." That afternoon, Alana visited her father's grave alone. The sky was overcast, the air cool. She stood quietly, hands folded, letting the stillness settle around her. "You knew," she said softly. "You didn't stop it. You prepared me." She placed the envelope back into her bag, not as a burden, but as a reminder. When she returned home, Marcus was on the phone, pacing, voice low and urgent. He stopped when he saw her. "We'll talk later," he said into the receiver, and hung up. Alana waited. "You've been making calls," Marcus said. "People are nervous. People should be honest," Alana replied. He stared at her, searching again for the woman who once smoothed conflicts, who softened edges, who gave him room to maneuver. She was gone. "What do you want?" he asked. Alana considered the question carefully. "I want the truth documented. I want Leo protected. And I want you to stop underestimating what preparation looks like." Marcus scoffed. "You think a few papers change anything?" "No," Alana said. "I think they reveal everything." That night, as she tucked Leo into bed, he looked up at her sleepily. "Are you going to be okay?" Alana smiled. "Yes," she said. "I am." She turned off the light and closed the door, standing in the hallway with quiet certainty. The groundwork was laid. The pressure was aligned. And for the first time since the funeral, Alana understood what her father had truly given her. Not protection, perspective. By the time the emergency board meeting was officially announced, Alana already knew the outcome Marcus was hoping for. Containment, delay, distance. He wanted the board to believe any irregularities were minor procedural, easily corrected. He wanted time enough to move liability enough, to reframe the story enough, to decide who would take the fall. Alana intended to deny him all three. Rachel called early that morning. "The LLC you flagged," she said. "We traced its transaction history back 18 months. It lines up perfectly with the periods Marcus claimed their performance bonuses were delayed." "Because they weren't bonuses," Alana said. "They were diversions." "Exactly," Rachel replied. "And Daniel Wright just agreed to testify to internal pressure." Alana closed her eyes briefly. "He's taking a risk. So did your father," Rachel said quietly. "Some people decide silence costs more." That afternoon, Detective Blake confirmed what the paper trail suggested. "We pulled camera footage from the hotel," he said. Marcus and Vanessa weren't just meeting. They were exchanging documents. One of them contained pre-signed authorization forms. "For the LLC?" Alana asked. "For everything," Blake replied. He gave her access so he could claim distance later. Alana felt no surprise, only confirmation. That evening, Marcus came home with a new edge to his confidence, tight, brittle, rehearsed. "The board meeting is next week," he said, pouring himself a drink. "I'll be traveling." "With Vanessa?" Alana asked. His jaw clenched. "That's irrelevant." "Nothing is," Alana replied. He studied her. "You're circling," he said. "I can feel it." "I'm standing still," Alana said. "You're the one running." Marcus laughed, but it rang hollow. "You think you have allies?" "I have records," Alana replied. "People decide what to do with those." The next day, Daniel Wright met Alana again, this time with less caution. "They're panicking," he said. "Marcus is pushing hard. He wants to preemptively reassign blame to a junior analyst." "Who?" Alana asked. Daniel gave a name. Someone young, new, replaceable. Alana's expression didn't change, but her voice hardened. "That won't happen." Daniel swallowed. "I'll need protection." "You'll have it," Alana said. "Rachel is filing." By midweek, the filings went through. Protective orders, financial access guarantees. A notice of potential conflict submitted quietly to the board's legal counsel, anonymous, factual, impossible to ignore. Marcus noticed the shift immediately. His calls grew shorter, his messages sharper. "Stop undermining me. You don't understand how this works. You're making this worse." Alana didn't respond. Instead, she met Rachel and Detective Blake together for the first time. "This is the pivot," Blake said, spreading documents across the table. "Once the board sees this, they'll move fast. Faster than Marcus expects." "Will they involve law enforcement?" Alana asked. "Yes," Blake replied, "but not immediately. They'll try to contain exposure first." "Which gives Marcus time to make mistakes," Rachel said. Alana nodded. "Then we let him." That night, Vanessa called again. Alana answered. "He's lying to both of us." Vanessa said, her voice unsteady now. "He told me you were bluffing. He told you what you needed to hear." Alana replied. "You're doing this to hurt him," Vanessa accused. "No," Alana said calmly. "I'm doing this to stop him." There was a long pause. "If I cooperate," Vanessa said slowly, "will you protect me?" Alana chose her words carefully. "I don't trade protection for favors. I cooperate with the truth." Vanessa exhaled shakily. "Then I need to tell you something." "I'm listening," Alana said. Vanessa confessed what Alana already suspected. Marcus had coached her. He'd told her when to sign, when to stay silent, when to appear uninvolved. He'd promised immunity. He'd promised loyalty. "He said you'd never fight back," Vanessa said. "That you were too quiet." Alana closed her eyes. He misunderstood silence. By the time the call ended, Alana had another piece, not for leverage, but for alignment. The board meeting arrived on a Monday. Marcus left early, dressed sharply. Confidence rebuilt for the audience he believed mattered most. Alana watched him from the doorway, noting the tension in his shoulders, the forced steadiness in his stride. "Wish me luck," he said. Alana nodded. "Tell the truth," she replied. He paused unsettled, then left without another word. 2 hours later, Rachel called. "They've requested additional documentation," she said, "and they've suspended discretionary transfers pending review." Alana exhaled slowly. That's the first crack. By noon, Daniel texted. "Security just escorted Marcus out of the room. He's furious." At 2:17 p.m., Detective Blake's number appeared on Alana's screen. "It's moving," he said. "Faster than expected." "What does that mean?" Alana asked. "It means Marcus tried to override a compliance hold," Blake replied. "On record." Alana closed her eyes. "So he chose speed." "Yes," Blake said, "and he left fingerprints." When Marcus came home that evening, he was no longer composed. His tie was gone. His jacket hung open. His face was flushed with anger he could no longer disguise. "You did this," he said the moment he stepped inside. Alana stood in the living room, hands relaxed at her sides. "You did," she replied. "They're questioning my authority," Marcus snapped. "They froze accounts. They're treating me like a criminal." "They're treating data," Alana said. "You're attached to it." He laughed harshly. "You think you've won? I think you've been seen," Alana replied. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You could still stop this." Alana met his gaze. "I already did." His eyes flicked away. For the first time, uncertainty overtook anger. That night, Alana sat alone at the kitchen table, reviewing the final timeline. Every move Marcus had made, every attempt to rush, to reframe, to control, now worked against him. Her phone buzzed. A single text from Rachel. "They're opening a formal inquiry." Alana set the phone down and closed her eyes, not in relief, but in recognition. This was no longer a private reckoning. It was structural. Marcus had built his confidence on speed and silence. Alana had built hers on patience and proof. And now, with witnesses aligned and exits closing, the outcome was no longer negotiable. It was inevitable. Marcus didn't sleep that night. Alana knew because she didn't either. And the house carried that particular tension that only came from two people lying awake with opposing plans. She heard him pacing sometime after midnight, his steps measured at first, then erratic. Doors opened and closed softly. A drawer slid. A phone vibrated and stopped. By morning, he had decided on a new strategy. Speed dressed as mercy. He sat at the kitchen table when Alana came down, two neatly stacked folders placed between his hands like offerings. He looked composed again, showered, pressed, practiced. "I've spoken with counsel," he said. "This doesn't need to get ugly." Alana poured herself coffee and took the chair across from him. She didn't touch the folders. "It's already honest," she said. "That's enough." He exhaled through his nose, forcing a small smile. "We can file for an expedited divorce. Clean, no hearings, no press. You keep the house. I'll handle the rest." "And Leo?" Alana asked. "Shared custody," Marcus replied quickly. "But I'll take the lead school medical decisions. It's just practical given your recent stress." There it was, the soft blade. Alana lifted one folder and flipped through it. The language was tidy neutral. Temporary authority, interim financial oversight. Clauses that looked harmless until read slowly, very slowly. "This says I waive claims to marital assets pending final judgment," she said. "Temporary," Marcus said. "This says you retain sole signing authority over shared accounts," she continued, "just to keep things running. And this," Alana said, tapping the page, "reframes the account freeze as a joint decision made in my best interest." Marcus leaned forward. "I'm trying to protect you. You're trying to erase me," Alana said evenly. He stiffened. "You're being dramatic." "No," she said. "I'm being careful." He pushed the pen toward her. "Sign. Let's end this quietly." Alana set the folder down, aligning it perfectly with the edge of the table. "I won't." His jaw tightened. "You don't have the leverage you think you do." She met his gaze. "Neither do you." Marcus stood abruptly. "If you force this into court, you'll lose more than money. You'll lose time. You'll lose peace." Alana stood as well, her movements unhurried. "Peace that depends on silence isn't peace," she said. "It's compliance." He stared at her, the old calculations flashing behind his eyes. "You think the system favors you? I think the record speaks," Alana replied. Marcus laughed once sharp. "You're bluffing." Alana picked up her phone and sent a single message to Rachel. He offered an expedited settlement. Declined. "He's escalating." Rachel's reply came seconds later. "Good. We're ready." By noon, the mediation request arrived, filed by Marcus's new attorney, marked urgent. Alana read it carefully, noting the urgency, the insistence, the attempt to control the forum. "They want you rushed," Rachel said over the phone. "That's the tell. Then we slow everything down," Alana replied. "Not exactly," Rachel said. "We let him rush. We don't." The mediation took place 2 days later in a neutral office suite. Marcus arrived with confidence renewed, flanked by counsel who spoke in clipped phrases about efficiency and closure. Alana arrived with Rachel calm, prepared a slim folder in her bag that never left her side. The mediator smiled politely. "Let's keep this constructive." Marcus spoke first. He framed the narrative with care, grief, miscommunication, concern. He painted Alana as overwhelmed himself, as stabilizing. Rachel listened without interruption. When Marcus finished, the mediator turned to Alana. "Miss Powell." Alana folded her hands. "I won't agree to any arrangement that restricts my access to shared funds, limits my parental authority, or misrepresents decisions I did not make." Marcus's attorney interjected. "Those are standard." Rachel raised a hand. "We're not finished." She slid documents across the table, bank logs, timestamps, internal memos, school records. "These demonstrate unilateral control," Rachel said. "Coercive timing, misrepresentation." Marcus's attorney skimmed, brow furrowing. The mediator's smile faded. Marcus leaned forward. "This is unnecessary," he said tightly. "We can adjust language." Alana met his eyes. "You already adjusted reality." The mediator cleared his throat. "Given these materials, I recommend pausing mediation pending review." Marcus stood abruptly. "That's ridiculous." Rachel remained seated. "It's prudent." The meeting ended without agreement. In the hallway, Marcus cornered Alana. "You're destroying any chance of civility." "You tried to buy silence," Alana replied. "It didn't work." His eyes flicked to Rachel. "You think this ends well?" "It ends accurately," Rachel said. "That's enough." That night, Marcus made a mistake. He emailed the board. It was long, defensive, emotional. He accused unnamed parties of sabotage, implied disloyalty, threatened legal action. He attached documents he believed would exonerate him. They did the opposite. Daniel forwarded the email to Alana with a single line. He CC'd too many people. By morning, the board's response was swift. Marcus was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. When he came home, the house felt different to him, smaller, less forgiving. "They've suspended me," he said, voice flat. Alana nodded. "I know. You went to the board he accused." "I didn't have to," she replied. "You went to them." He stared at her, realization dawning too late. "You planned this." "I prepared," Alana said. "There's a difference." His phone buzzed, again and again. He didn't answer. "Fix this," he said, desperation creeping in. "Tell them it's a misunderstanding." Alana shook her head. Truth doesn't reverse on command. He sank into a chair, suddenly smaller. "You'll regret this." Alana looked at him, not with triumph, not with anger, with clarity. "I regretted trusting you," she said. "That chapter is closed." That evening, Rachel called with confirmation. "The court granted our motion," she said. "Financial access restored permanently. Temporary custody order in your favor." Alana closed her eyes, a quiet steadiness settling in her chest. "Thank you." "This isn't over," Rachel added. "But the momentum is yours." Alana hung up and walked to Leo's room. She watched him sleep the gentle rise and fall of his chest, grounding her in what mattered. Behind her, Marcus packed a bag in silence. At the door, he paused. "You didn't have to do it this way." Alana didn't turn. "Neither did you." The door closed softly. Alana remained where she was, the house breathing around her, the future no longer the threat, but a responsibility she was ready to hold. Marcus had tried to rush the ending. Alana had slowed the truth. And now, with the record set and the ground shifting beneath him, the outcome was no longer a negotiation. It was a consequence. The second call came 3 days after Marcus moved out. Alana was in Rachel's office when her phone buzzed once, then stopped. She didn't look at it immediately. She finished the sentence she was reading, placed the document back into the folder, and only then checked the screen. Detective Aaron Blake. Rachel watched her closely. "Answer it," she said. "Your face just changed." Alana stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind her. "Go ahead," she said into the phone. "I'm listening." "Blake didn't waste time. We confirmed why your husband skipped the funeral." Alana leaned against the wall, steady. "I already know he wasn't working." "This is more specific," Blake replied. "He left town that morning, rented a car under a third-party account, drove 2 hours south. With Vanessa," Alana said. "Yes, but not for what he told her." Alana closed her eyes. "Explain." "He used the funeral as cover," Blake said. "Everyone expected him to be unaccounted for. No one would question his absence. That window gave him time to execute something he couldn't risk doing locally, which was," Alana asked. "Finalizing an authorization package tied to the shell company," Blake said, including signatures he didn't want traceable to him. Alana felt a cold clarity settle in. He chose that day. He did, Blake confirmed. And there's more. Alana didn't rush him. The documents he exchanged weren't originals, Blake continued. They were copies prepared to look legitimate if surfaced later. But the originals are missing. Destroyed, Alana asked. Attempted, Blake said. We believe he planned to destroy them after the board meeting. But the timing didn't work. Because he was suspended, Alana said. Because you slowed him down, Blake replied. He panicked. Alana opened her eyes. Where are the originals? A pause. Then we recovered partials, Blake said. Enough to establish intent. But there's one piece missing, a handwritten addendum. It would link the authorization directly to him. Alana's mind moved quickly. He wouldn't trust anyone with that. No, Blake said. He'd hide it somewhere familiar. Like our house, Alana said quietly. Blake didn't argue. We'll need consent to search shared spaces. You have it, Alana said. "I'll coordinate with my attorney." She ended the call and returned to Rachel's office, her expression composed. "Funeral cover," Rachel said when Alana finished explaining. "That's calculated." "He chose the one day I wouldn't question his absence," Alana said. "The one day I was expected to be distracted." Rachel's jaw tightened. "We'll file consent immediately." They arrived at the house that afternoon with a warrant signed and limited in scope. Alana walked through each room with the officers pointing out shared spaces, answering questions calmly. Nothing felt invasive. This wasn't a violation. It was a reckoning. They found it in the study Marcus had always called his. A slim leather folder tucked behind old tax binders. Inside drafts, annotations, and at the back, a single page written in Marcus's hand, the addendum. Blake looked at it once and exhaled. That's what we needed. Alana didn't touch it. When the officers left, the house felt lighter, emptier, but honest. That evening, Marcus called. Alana let it ring once, then answered. "You let them search the house," he said. His voice was tight, controlled with effort. "I cooperated with an investigation," Alana replied. "You had no right," Marcus snapped. "I had every right," she said calmly. "It's my home, too." "You're crossing lines," he said. "You crossed them first," Alana replied. "You just didn't expect them to be documented." He went quiet. Then softly, "You don't understand what you're doing." "I understand exactly," Alana said. "You used my father's funeral as cover. You thought grief would keep me blind. A breath on the line." "You're guessing." "No," Alana said. "I was informed." "Silence," Alana, Marcus said finally, the edge in his voice giving way to something thinner. "If this goes further, everyone loses." "That's not true," she replied. "Only people who lied lose." He exhaled sharply. "Vanessa talked to you, didn't she?" "She told the truth," Alana said. "That's enough." He laughed bitter. "You think she's loyal to you?" "I don't need loyalty," Alana said. "I need accuracy." The call ended without goodbye. Later that night, Vanessa emailed Rachel directly. "I'm willing to cooperate fully." Rachel forwarded it to Alana with a single line. "We'll proceed carefully." The next morning, Blake confirmed the chain reaction. "The addendum ties him directly," he said. "The board's counsel has referred the matter. This is no longer internal." "What happens now?" Alana asked. "Now Blake said he stops being a problem you manage and becomes one the system handles." Alana nodded. "And Vanessa, she'll be interviewed," Blake replied. "Her cooperation will be noted." That afternoon, the board released a statement. Neutral language, temporary leave extended, compliance review ongoing. By evening, Marcus's name was removed from internal directories. He came to the house once more to collect the rest of his things. Alana stayed in the kitchen while he moved through the rooms. When he returned, bag in hand, he hesitated in the doorway. "I never thought you'd do this," he said. Alana met his eyes. "I never thought you'd make me." He scoffed. "You think this ends with you winning?" "I think this ends with the truth standing," Alana replied. "Winning isn't the point." His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and went pale. "They're calling me in," he said. "Yes," Alana replied. "They are." He looked at her for a long moment, really looked as if trying to find the woman he once believed he could manage. She was gone. At bedtime, Leo asked quietly, "Is Dad in trouble?" Alana knelt beside him. "Dad made some choices," she said. "Now other people are asking him about them." "Is that bad?" Leo asked. "It's honest," Alana replied. "And honesty helps things heal." Leo considered that, then nodded. That night, Alana stood by the window, watching the streetlights glow. She felt no triumph, no satisfaction, only a deep, steady resolve. Marcus had used the most sacred day of her life as a shield. Now that day had become the pivot that exposed him. The second call hadn't shattered her. It had clarified everything. The night before the hearing, the city felt unusually loud. Sirens echoed farther than usual. Car doors slammed. Somewhere down the block, someone laughed too hard. Alana noticed all of it as she moved through the house, turning off lights, checking locks, placing Leo's backpack by the door for the morning. Routine grounded her. It always had. Marcus texted at 10:41 p.m. "We should talk. One last time." Alana read the message, then set the phone face down. She didn't reply. She wasn't avoiding him. She was conserving clarity. At 6:00 a.m., Rachel called. "They scheduled it sooner," she said. "Preliminary hearing. Limited scope, but public." "Good," Alana replied. "Visibility matters." "It does," Rachel agreed. "But expect theatrics. He'll try to frame this as personal." Alana dressed simply dark blazer, light blouse, hair pulled back. She didn't aim for severity or softness. She aimed for accuracy. At the courthouse, the air buzzed with quiet urgency. Lawyers moved in tight clusters, voices low, expressions composed. Marcus arrived with his attorney and Vanessa at his side. That was new. Vanessa wore a tailored dress and the brittle confidence of someone who believed proximity equaled protection. She didn't look at Alana. Not directly. Marcus did. His gaze lingered longer than it should have, measuring, searching for doubt. He found none. Inside the courtroom, the judge called the matter swiftly. This wasn't a trial. It was an opening, a place where truth began to stand upright. Marcus's attorney spoke first, outlining a narrative of stress, misunderstanding, and marital discord. He framed Marcus as a man overwhelmed by circumstance, pressured by conflicting loyalties, caught between professional obligations and personal tragedy. When it was Rachel's turn, she didn't raise her voice. She laid out dates, documents, timelines. She spoke of unilateral financial freezes executed on the day of a funeral, of school records altered without consent, of authorization papers exchanged during a carefully timed absence. She never said the word betrayal. She didn't need to. The judge listened without interruption, eyes steady, pen still. Then Vanessa was called. She took the stand with practiced, calm hands, folded chin lifted. She spoke of a relationship she believed was ending, of assurances she'd been given, of documents she didn't fully understand. Rachel asked one question. "Miss Cole, when did you first receive authorization to act on behalf of the LLC?" Vanessa hesitated. I don't recall the exact date." Rachel nodded. "Let me help." She slid a document forward. "Is this your signature?" Vanessa glanced down. Color drained from her face. "Yes." "And the date?" Vanessa swallowed. "The day of Mr. Powell's funeral." A murmur rippled through the room. Marcus stiffened. Rachel didn't press. She let the silence do its work. The judge cleared his throat. "We'll recess briefly." Outside the courtroom, Marcus exploded. "You let her say that," he hissed at Vanessa. She recoiled. "You told me it wouldn't matter." Alana stood a few feet away, still watching the unraveling without intervening. Rachel leaned in. "This is where he overreaches," she murmured. She was right. When proceedings resumed, Marcus insisted on speaking. Against counsel's advice. He painted himself as a victim of pressure of expectations of a wife who had turned cold and vindictive. He gestured toward Alana as if she were a symbol, not a person. "I missed the funeral because I was handling urgent matters," he said. "I did what I thought was necessary." The judge looked at him steadily. "Necessary for whom?" Mr. Powell. Marcus faltered. "For everyone." The judge nodded slowly. "We'll determine that." The ruling came shortly after. Assets remained frozen under oversight. Custodial arrangements stayed intact. A referral was issued for further investigation into potential fraud and misrepresentation. It wasn't the end. But it was irreversible. Outside, cameras waited. Marcus stepped forward, first jaw tight, offering a statement about cooperation and confidence in due process. Vanessa stayed behind him, eyes darting. Alana said nothing. She walked past the microphones, past the questions, past the noise. Rachel followed, steady at her side. In the car, Alana finally exhaled. "That went as well as it could," Rachel said. "It went honestly," Alana replied. That evening, Marcus tried again. He showed up at the house unannounced. Alana didn't open the door. "Alana," he called through the glass, "you can't shut me out." She stood on the other side, arms relaxed. "I can," she said. "And I have." "You think this makes you powerful?" he demanded. No, Alana replied. It makes me free. He laughed bitterly. You'll regret this silence. Alana met his eyes through the glass. Silence isn't what you're afraid of, she said. It's what it reveals. She turned and walked away. That night, Detective Blake called one last time. They've escalated, he said. Formal charges are being considered. Alana closed her eyes. Thank you for telling me. You did the hard part, Blake replied. You didn't interfere. Alana hung up and stood in the quiet of her living room. Leo was asleep upstairs. The house felt settled, no longer tense, no longer waiting. For the first time since the funeral, Alana allowed herself to feel the weight lift. Not because justice was finished, but because it was moving. And it was no longer hers alone to carry. The morning after the hearing, the world treated Marcus Powell differently. Not dramatically, not loudly, but unmistakably. His access badge stopped working. His name disappeared from the company website by noon. By evening, internal emails referred to him only as the former executive. The shift was quiet, bureaucratic, and final, the kind of erasure that happened not through confrontation, but through procedure. Alana noticed the change in smaller ways. The calls stopped. The texts slowed, then ceased entirely. The urgency that had once crackled through every interaction drained away, replaced by something hollow and uncertain. Justice, she was learning, rarely arrived with thunder. It arrived with silence. Rachel called mid-morning. The referral moved faster than expected, she said. The board turned over everything. Why now, Alana asked. Because the addendum made it undeniable, Rachel replied. And because Marcus tried to interfere after suspension. Alana closed her eyes briefly. So he made it worse? Yes, Rachel said. Again. By afternoon, Detective Blake confirmed it. They attempted to destroy digital backups, he said. After the hearing. Alana's jaw tightened. After the judge issued orders, yes, Blake replied. That's obstruction. The word carried weight, not emotional, but structural. Obstruction wasn't betrayal. It wasn't infidelity. It was measurable. Prosecutable. What happens next? Alana asked. Formal charges, Blake said. Financial fraud, conspiracy, obstruction. And Vanessa, Alana asked. She's cooperating, Blake replied. Her testimony aligns with the documents. Alana thanked him and ended the call. She sat quietly for a long moment, absorbing the shift. This was no longer a story about a marriage. It was a case. Marcus arrived at the house just before sunset. He didn't knock. He rang the doorbell once and waited, hands shoved deep into his coat pockets, shoulders drawn tight against the cold. Alana opened the door, but didn't step aside. They're charging me, he said. No anger, no accusation, just disbelief. Yes, Alana replied. You could stop this, he said. You could tell them you misunderstood, that this was personal. Alana studied his face, the lines she hadn't noticed before the strain etched where certainty used to live. It was personal, she said. You made it professional. He shook his head. You're choosing to ruin me. No, she replied calmly. I'm choosing not to lie. His voice cracked. I did this for us. Alana didn't raise her voice. You did this for yourself, she said, and you used me as cover. Silence stretched between them. What about Leo? Marcus asked finally. What will he think? Alana met his gaze. He'll know the truth, she said. Age appropriate, honest. That his father made choices and is facing consequences. Marcus laughed weakly. You think that's better? Yes, Alana said. It's cleaner. He stared at her, searching for sympathy, for regret, for any sign she might still bend. She didn't. You don't need to come back, Alana added. Your things are packed. I'll coordinate through counsel. Marcus nodded slowly. Of course, he said. Through counsel. He turned and walked away without another word. That night, Alana sat with Leo on the couch, a blanket draped over both of them. They watched a documentary about space planets, drifting in quiet order, governed by laws that didn't care who resisted them. Mom, Leo said suddenly, Why don't we see Dad anymore? Alana paused the screen. Because Dad made some choices that hurt people, she said gently. Now other adults are helping him fix that. Is he bad, Leo asked. No, Alana replied. He made bad decisions. Those are different things. Leo nodded, satisfied. I like when things make sense. So do I, Alana said, pulling him closer. The next morning, the arrest came. It wasn't dramatic. No sirens, no handcuffs in public view. Marcus was taken in through a side entrance after a scheduled interview with investigators. The company released a brief statement about cooperation and integrity. Vanessa's name appeared once in the context of assistance. Daniel Wright testified the same day. Rachel called afterward. He did well, she said. Clear, factual, no emotion. That matters, Alana replied. It does, Rachel agreed. The system responds to clarity. By evening, news of the charges spread quietly, not headlines, just mentions. Enough to reach the people who needed to know. Alana received a single text from an unknown number. I'm sorry. I didn't know how far he'd go. She didn't reply. She forwarded it to Rachel and deleted it. At dusk, Alana returned to the cemetery. The air was still, the sky washed pale with fading light. She stood before her father's grave, hands folded, the weight of days finally settling into something manageable. You were right, she said softly. Silence isn't weakness. She thought of the envelope, the notes, the contingency plan written not for revenge, but for truth. I didn't have to fight, she continued. I just had to finish what you started. She placed fresh flowers at the headstone and stepped back. The following week, the custody order was finalized. Sole physical custody, structured visitation pending review, clear boundaries. Alana signed without hesitation. When she left the courthouse, the air felt lighter, not triumphant, but resolved. Rachel walked beside her. You know, she said, most people don't hold this line. Alana glanced at her. Most people are taught that silence equals surrender. Rachel smiled. You rewrote that. That night, Alana tucked Leo into bed and stood in the doorway longer than usual, watching him sleep. The house was quiet, not the tense quiet of waiting. The earned quiet of closure. Marcus Powell's story was no longer hers to carry. She had told the truth. She had protected her child. She had honored her father. And in doing so, she had shifted the outcome without ever raising her voice. Justice hadn't arrived with spectacle. It had arrived with structure. And it was enough. The collapse didn't happen all at once. It unfolded in stages measured procedural, irreversible. Alana first felt it in the tone of Rachel's voice when she called early that morning. Not urgency, not excitement, just calm confirmation. It's moving to the next level, Rachel said. Federal involvement. Alana stood by the kitchen window, watching Leo tie his shoes at the table. Meaning the scope expanded beyond the company, Rachel replied. They're not just looking at Marcus's department anymore. They're looking at the architecture. Alana nodded once. Then it's bigger than us? Yes, Rachel said. And that's why it will hold. By noon, the company announced an emergency board session. Not a meeting, a reckoning. Daniel Wright was already inside when Alana arrived, invited not as a witness, but as an interested party connected to the original compliance concerns filed years earlier by her father. The boardroom was quiet glass walls reflecting the city in fragments. Executives sat spaced apart, their confidence replaced by calculation. Legal counsel occupied one side of the table, stacks of binders open and color-coded. Marcus was not there. His absence was louder than his presence had ever been. The chair at the head of the table remained empty. Counsel began without ceremony. We'll proceed. Emails were projected onto the screen. Then financial flow charts. Then the addendum, Marcus's handwriting, unmistakable intent clear. No one spoke for several minutes. Then one board member leaned back and said, "He designed this to look accidental." Another responded, "He designed it to look invisible." Daniel spoke once, only once. He described the pressure, the deadlines. The instructions framed as urgency. He didn't accuse. He described. That was enough. By the time the meeting adjourned, the outcome was sealed. Marcus Powell was formally terminated for cause. All deferred compensation voided. All authority rescinded. The company issued a second statement, longer this time, emphasizing ethics, accountability, and cooperation with federal authorities. Outside the building, cameras waited. This time, Alana did not walk past them. She didn't step into their frame either. She stood still just beyond reach, watching as executives filed out with guarded expressions and hurried steps. The spectacle wasn't hers. The truth didn't need an audience. That evening, Detective Blake called with confirmation. They executed the arrest warrant, he said. Quietly, no resistance. Alana closed her eyes. Thank you for telling me. There's one more thing, Blake added. Vanessa Cole. Yes, she's been charged as well, Blake said. Reduced counts, but charged. Her cooperation helped, but it didn't erase her role. Alana exhaled slowly. That's appropriate. When Marcus called from detention, Alana didn't answer. She listened to the voicemail later. His voice was different, stripped of control, hollowed by reality. They took everything he said. My job, my accounts, my name. Alana deleted the message without replying. Later that night, she sat at the dining table with Alana Powell papers spread between them. Legal notices, custody confirmations, property adjustments. Evelyn touched one of the documents gently. Your father would be proud, she said. Alana shook her head. He would be relieved. Evelyn smiled faintly. That too. The following day, Alana attended one final hearing. This one was brief. The judge reviewed the filings, confirmed compliance, and finalized the orders. No drama, no speeches, just a gavel. When it was over, Alana stood alone in the hallway for a moment, absorbing the stillness. This was the end of the public collapse. The private healing would take longer. Outside, Leo waited with Rachel swinging his legs on a bench. Is it done? He asked. Alana knelt in front of him. The hard part is, he considered that. Are we safe? Yes, she said. We are. That evening, Alana packed away the last of Marcus's belongings items left behind, not because they mattered, but because he'd forgotten them. She didn't rush. She didn't linger. She sealed the box and placed it in the garage for his attorney to retrieve. Then she opened the window. Fresh air moved through the house, carrying the faint sounds of the neighborhood dogs barking, children laughing, a car starting down the block. Life resuming. A week later, the indictment was unsealed. Marcus Powell's name appeared in print, not as a husband or an executive, but as a defendant. The story spread quietly. No scandal headlines, no sensationalism, just facts. Alana didn't read the articles. She didn't need to. Instead, she took Leo to the park, where they sat on a bench and shared fries from a paper bag. You seem lighter, Leo said, wiping his hands on a napkin. I am, Alana replied. Is it because Grandpa helped, he asked. Alana smiled. Yes, he did. That night after Leo fell asleep, Alana opened a new document on her laptop. She titled it, simply, Foundation Draft. She outlined a structure, legal resources, financial literacy, quiet assistance for women who didn't know they were being trapped until it was almost too late. Not revenge, prevention. When she finished, she closed the laptop and stood by the window, watching the city lights flicker on. Marcus Powell had lost his power publicly. But Alana Powell had done something else entirely. She had taken back authorship. She had refused to be rushed, silenced, or reframed. And in doing so, she had transformed betrayal into structure, grief into clarity, and justice into something sustainable. This wasn't the end of a marriage. It was the end of a lie. The house sounded different once everything was finished. Not quieter, just honest. There were no late-night footsteps, no phones buzzing in hidden rooms, no conversations cut short by doors closing. The silence that remained wasn't tense or watchful. It was earned. Alana noticed it most in the mornings. She woke before Leo made coffee and stood by the window as sunlight stretched across the kitchen floor. The world outside moved at its own pace. Joggers passing a neighbor walking a dog, a delivery truck stopping at the corner. Life didn't rush her anymore. It didn't demand explanations. The court orders arrived in a thick envelope a week later. Alana opened it slowly, reading every page. Custody was confirmed. Assets were divided cleanly. The language was precise, unemotional, complete. Marcus Powell's name appeared only where it had to. She signed where required, slid the papers back into the envelope, and placed it in the file marked closed. That afternoon, she took Leo to the cemetery. The air was clear, the sky wide and pale. Leo carried the small bouquet himself, walking carefully between headstones. When they reached Robert Powell's grave, he knelt and placed the flowers with quiet seriousness. "Mom," he said, "Grandpa helped you, didn't he?" Alana knelt beside him. "He taught me how," she said. "That's a kind of helping that lasts." Leo nodded, satisfied. "I think he'd like that." "So do I," Alana said. They stood together for a moment, then turned back toward the car. Alana didn't linger. She didn't need to. The conversation with her father was complete. In the weeks that followed, Alana rebuilt, not dramatically, not loudly. She reorganized the house, moving furniture not to erase the past, but to fit the present. She repainted the study Marcus once claimed as his own, turning it into a workspace filled with light. She replaced the heavy desk with a simple table and set her laptop there. Papers neatly stacked, purpose clear. The foundation took shape quietly. Rachel helped structure the legal framework. Financial advisors offered pro bono guidance. Word spread carefully, not through announcements, but through need. A woman who didn't understand why her accounts were suddenly frozen. Another who'd been pressured to sign documents she didn't recognize. Another who was told silence was the price of stability. Alana listened. She didn't promise miracles. She offered clarity. "Take your time," she told them. "Document everything. Don't rush." Her voice never wavered. Marcus's case progressed without her involvement. She received updates through counsel plea negotiations, sentencing recommendations, restitution assessments. She didn't attend hearings. She didn't submit statements. Her truth was already on record. One afternoon, Evelyn Powell visited carrying a box of old photographs. "I found these," she said, setting the box on the table. "Your father kept them separate. They went through them together, birthdays, road trips, quiet moments captured without posing." One photo stopped Alana cold. It showed her father sitting at the kitchen table reading a pen tucked behind his ear. The same table, the same light. "He always liked mornings," Evelyn said softly. "Said they told the truth before the world got loud." Alana smiled. He was right. That evening, Leo brought home a drawing from school. It showed 3 figures holding hands beneath a wide sun. One figure was taller, drawn in careful lines. The other 2 stood close, grounded. "Who's that?" Alana asked, pointing gently. "That's us," Leo said, "and that's Grandpa watching." Alana felt a warmth spread through her chest. Not grief, not ache. Continuity. She hung the drawing on the fridge. When the final notice arrived, confirmation of Marcus's sentence, Alana read it once and set it aside. The words didn't change anything she needed to do next. Justice had already done its work. One night, as Alana closed the house for sleep, she paused in the hallway and listened. The silence remained, but now it felt full. She turned off the last light and went to bed sleeping deeply without dreams. Some betrayals shout, others whisper. The quiet ones are often the most dangerous because they rely on your exhaustion, your grief, your willingness to keep the peace at your own expense. Alana didn't win because she fought louder. She didn't win because she struck back faster. She won because she refused to rush the truth. She documented instead of arguing. She observed instead of reacting. She trusted structure over emotion patience, over panic clarity, over confrontation. And when justice arrived, it didn't come with fireworks. It came with paperwork, process, and permanence. If there is one lesson in this story, it's this. Silence is not weakness when it's chosen. It becomes power when paired with preparation. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to beg to be valued. And you don't need revenge to heal. Sometimes the strongest response is to stand still. Tell the truth and let the system do what it was designed to do when you finally give it the facts. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from and what time it is there. And if you believe in stories about quiet strength, delayed justice, and women who reclaim their lives without losing their dignity, don't forget to subscribe. More stories are coming.